channel. Robert Kesakos is your usual suspect. Welcome back to your favorite football updates channel. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you're enjoying your day. It's a beautiful day. Plenty going on. Of course, Tottenham Hotspurs they are leading by 2 goals to 1 against Paris Saint-Germain, and we're into the 90th minute of that game. So we'll get to speak about that, and then also we will get to speak about transfers because Liverpool are close to completing a deal for an 18-year-old centre back. So it's one that we can not avoid speaking about, given what their objectives are still in this transfer window when it comes to strengthening their squad. But so we'll be speaking about that and more. Allow me to have our audience tested before we get into the thick of tonight's conversation. We are late by intention because I wanted to really go ahead and watch this game because I didn't want to come on here and then interrupt you guys while you're watching the game on your end. So that's why by design I made it intentional to come on late here. Quickly. Where do we even start? We're into stoppage time. We are into stoppage time of the UEFA Super Cup between Paris Saint-Germain and Tottenham Hotspurs, with the UEFA Europa League winners getting the better of the UEFA Champions League winner there. So beautiful game of football. Unusual suspects are on the score sheet for this one because it was Vicky van de Ven as well as the captain Christian Romero that scored the 2 goals for Tottenham Hotspurs, while Warren Zaire-Emery was the one on target for PSG there quite late in the game. But I think overall, it's safe to say that Tottenham Hotspurs have wanted it more. They've shown intent right from the onset. They've covered more ground than Paris Saint-Germain. Once I looked at their starting lineup that was without Fabian Ruiz, also bearing in mind that João Neves was absent through suspension, I realized it's going to be a long night for PSG, because when we start Desile Doué in midfield alongside Vitinha and Warren Zaire-Emery, a combination that we are not accustomed to, or are not even accustomed to playing alongside each other, it was always going to be a difficult game. So, and then Tottenham, especially in the first half, they did just enough to deny PSG that overall, overwhelming dominance on the ball, and that has sort of gotten them ahead, and it really looked impressive. In the second half, predominantly, especially after getting that second goal, they've been playing on the behind foot. They've been playing with the low block, something that we did speak about in the morning that we expected would happen. That Tottenham Hotspurs will be playing with the low block to try and sort of emulate what they did when they did face when they were up against Arsenal in pre-season and something like that. So predominantly in the second half, they resorted to sit back and defend the goal with their life. And even when you see that goal, which may turn out to be a mere consolation that they conceded, it was a thunderbolt that came from outside the 18-year box through Warren Zaire-Emery. There was another attempt on goal, but that was deflected over the bar. So beautiful game of football ongoing there between Tottenham Hotspur and Paris Saint-Germain in the UEFA Super Cup. We're into the 94th minute out of the 6 minutes that were added in. So that's why our headline says Tottenham win the UEFA Super Cup with an exclamation mark to it, in case you're wondering what's going on. But yeah, that's the situation. The game is almost coming to one end. I did say in the morning that while my prediction was a 3-1 victory for Paris Saint-Germain, I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever if Tottenham Hotspur went on to win it, because this one of games that have the embodiment of a cup final can always go either way. It can be hard to predict, and we went on to cite what we did witness over the weekend between Crystal Palace and Liverpool, that game that ended in a 2-2 draw before the post-match penalties. So Crystal Palace win that fixture by 3 goals to 2. So once you get in these kinds of situations or these kinds of games, anything can happen really. And so for me, I'm not particularly surprised, although there's an equalizer, there's a late equalizer in the 95th minute of the game from Usman. I think, is it Usman Dembele or Goncalo Ramos? I think it's Goncalo Ramos. A thunderbolt of the cross brought in by Usman Dembele that is headed home by Goncalo Ramos to make it 2-2. And looks like it's not over. But that's the nature of football. It's not over until it's over. In fact, in this particular case, we may have to wait for a bit of a VR review. In case you're watching this live, my feed is a couple of minutes up or seconds behind in the feed. So in case, but the goal will be reviewed, although I see nobody is offside. They didn't win it yet. Yes, that's why there was an exclamation mark to the head. Pedri, hi Pedri, how are you doing? How's the day? I did come intentionally late because I wanted you guys to enjoy that game comfortably, so that I come towards the tail end of it, and we both enjoy the final minutes of the game. I do not think they've bottled it yet, because anything can still happen. They can still win it on penalties. Penalties are 50-50. You and I both know that. They can go either way, but I think Tottenham squandering a 2-0 lead is not going to look good on their CV. However, okay, when you, like I said in the morning, when you weigh the two sides, I mean, if PSG win it, it's not a surprise. If Tottenham win it, that's the surprise. It's more like the case of if a dog bites a man, it's not news. But if a man bites a dog, then that's what makes news. So that's what I would compare it to. And in all honesty, I thought Tottenham deserved it the way they played, especially in the first half. They really, really looked good. They defended well. They limited, PSG's, attempts on goal. I think PSG did not even have a shot on target in the first half. If my statistics are anything to go by, I think they overdid the defense, like they went too deep into defensive after scoring the second goal. Yes, they sort of started to sit back a little too early. And by the way, when you start sitting back a little too early and you commit most of your numbers behind the ball, and you are up against a good opponent, oftentimes they are bound to find a way. They are bound to find a way, So while sometimes you can get away with it, depending on what amount of time is there left to play, but I thought they started back a bit early. Hi Cedric, how are you doing, my brother? It's been a minute. I haven't seen you in the last couple of days. I hope everything is good. Is all right with you. But yeah, that's the game. That's the game. I don't know what your guys' feed is, but like I said, mine is a couple of seconds, if not an entire minute behind, due to low bandwidth. So in case there's any action that you may observe before I do not hesitate to let me know, or bear with me if I mention it after it's gone. Pedri says it felt like PSG was committing a war of shots and strikes, and Spurs were defending. Yeah, that's what it felt, particularly in the second half, after Tottenham Hotspur scored that goal. But again, when you look at the statistics, 3 shots on target for PSG, and all those shots have come in the second half. And I'm sure they came after possibly the 60th minute or so, or probably the 70th minute. Then you look at versus Tottenham, 5 shots on target, 4 off target, 5 off target for PSG and Tottenham respectively. This is according to statistics by live score, and then overall possession is 74% compared to 26%. But you will realize that predominantly a majority of that has come. There's no extra time, just go straight to penalties, the same way it was in that community shield between Crystal Palace and Liverpool. So there's no extra time, we'll go straight to penalties. So again, you can see that goal came in the 48th minute. The second goal for Tottenham Hotspur, while the first had come in the 39th minute. So after scoring that, Tottenham literally forbid themselves from overcommitting numbers, and yet they could have looked to be a little bit more pragmatic in their approach to the game. particularly the way they had done in the first half. Try and fight for the 50-50s, deny PSG all the patterns of play that they can be able to string. But in the second half, you started feeling that they were leaving so many gaps. For PSG themselves, the way they handled the first half, you could give all the credit to Tottenham Hotspurs, but also that midfield for me of Betinha, Desiree Doué, and Warren Zaire-Emery is one that did not have the chemistry. They just did not have that chemistry between them. You could see that it's not what we are accustomed to when it comes to PSG. And in fact, odds started shifting in their favor when Fabian Ruiz came on. And in fact, they had scored a goal that was ruled out for offside. So when you look at that context, again, it takes us back to the conversation we were having back in the morning that if PSG line up the way I had hoped they would line up, it would have been possibly a different game. But when you start without two of your best midfielders, and bearing in mind that also the goalkeeper was changed, having got Gianluigi Donnarumma in favor of Lucas Chevalier, who was just straight up, there was bound to be holes to be poked in. And now it goes down to an absolute gamble of penalties. It doesn't matter how good players you have, when it comes to penalties, either they get nervous, stage fright, and things like that. And penalties can go either way. So from this stage onwards, whoever wins it is whoever will have deserved it. Because when you fail to win it in normal time, then you give it a chance of penalties, and that's where we are at the moment. So, but overall, I thought it was a good game of football, a very, very good test for Tottenham Hotspurs. Of course, Thomas Frank said he wouldn't have dreamed of this moment. It was a whole mountain for them to climb, but also a huge test and a good test for them. And looks like it's been nothing short of that, especially if you're to assess things in the second half after Fabian Ruiz came on. That's when things started to shift into PSG's favor, and that was in the 60th minute when Kivicha Kvaratskhelia paved the way for Fabian Ruiz, and then Desiree Doué pushed up front. So yeah, we will go to penalties, and we see what happens. Let's see who wins it, guys. Who do you think is going to win it on penalties? Give me your quick prediction. Who do you think walks away with it on penalties? Bearing in mind that it's Guillermo Vicario versus Lucas Chevalier on the other side. I do not know. I've not watched enough of Lucas Chevalier, enough to in these kinds of situations. Nor have I watched Guillermo Vicario in this kind of situation to decide that, oh, this one is good at saving penalties, this one isn't good. So we're going to have to leave it to chance. We're going to have to leave it to chance. But as we follow those penalties that have proceeded the post-match, the normal time in which that's ended in a 2-2 draw, pretty much in similar fashion, the way the Community Shield was. Let's quickly mention transfers as we wait for those penalties to go in bit by bit. But it looks like it's Tottenham Hotspurs that will be taking the first shot. Solanke goal. I didn't even know. I hadn't even realized he had come on. That's how so deep Tottenham had defended really, when you look at things. But anyways, I hadn't realized he had even come in. So when the team decides to play with the low block, because basically in the latter stages of the second half, they were defending literally with the back five, then and a string of 4 players. Then it was Richardson trying to try to go forward to try and beat the counter press and things like that. But it is what it is, and he has scored. Solanke has scored. Let's hope for the best. Wow, Virginia has already missed. You remember he also missed that penalty against David Villa in the UEFA Champions League. Was it? I think it was in the second leg, the return leg at Parc des Princes. He missed that penalty because he tried to do the jump stop kind of thing, and David Villa just waited it out, and then he went with a very, very lazy sort of shot, and Villa saved it. So again, I do not think he's the best of penalty takers, really. I do not think Vitinha is the best of penalty takers. And practically, he's literally done this the same thing that he did against Fire, only that this time around, he sent his attempt wide of the post, wide of the post. So very unfortunate for him there. But meanwhile, as you enjoy those penalties, Liverpool have agreed a deal to sign Giovanni Leoni from Parma in a deal worth about 35 million euros. Parma did want to keep the player on loan, at least on a season-long loan, until June 2026. But Liverpool said no to that because their pursuits with McGahey are so far not going according to plan. They had exploratory talks, but the player, McGahey, is happy to see out the remainder of his contract. So yeah, that's the situation with Liverpool. But yeah, wow, that was good. That was good from Betancourt, by the way. That was a good penalty. He went for power and height. So even if you're a good goalkeeper, go to try to attempt that to save that. Chances are, if it hits your palm and still ends up in the back of the net in that kind of sense. Thanks for the update, Petri. Thanks for the updates because your feed is ahead of mine. So yeah. But like I said, Liverpool have agreed everything for the player to join them. 18 years of age, a player that was really, really highly sought after by teams like AC Milan, teams like Juventus, and other giant teams within Italy. They were really, really interested in signing Giovanni Leoni, but he's decided to go to Liverpool. He's decided to go to Liverpool. Looks like Liverpool have had the best pull in as far as this transfer window is go. Now, if Van de Ven has missed now, anyway, it is what it is. Going in for the first penalty, the third or second, or the last penalty, there's pressure. There's going to be pressure, especially when it comes to penalties of this stage. The stakes are high, so you're bound to be nervous. Your team is depending on you. So if you're going for a low penalty, it's all to be good. It's all to be really, really good. It's all to be really, really good. But 2-2, then after Dembele scored, okay, good. I know, yep, like I said, guys, my feed is a couple of seconds behind, so that's why we are relying on Pedro to give us the updates. For those of you that are just joining us, kindly like the broadcast, but also consider subscribing to the channel. If you're new here, thank you so much for being with us tonight. It's already 7 minutes past midnight here in Kampala, Uganda. But yeah, and we are enjoying this, fixture. Matthias Tell, wow. But again, even when your opponent misses, and then you just imagine when Mickey Van de Ven missed, and then it was Dembele coming next. He knew that to sort of restore the balance of scale, it all depended on him. That's extra pressure. But at least for a player of his experience, maybe he knows two things to handle it. But just imagine it was Mayu or Warren Zaire-Emery, and maybe the situation would have been different. So it's that really. It's that. Wow, that was going to be a very good penalty if he had if it had been good mind. Similar to what really Vitinha did, only in the opposite direction. Kang Inli, I always call him Kang Lee In. That's how I usually call him. So PSG are leading 3-2. Wow. Penalties. A tale of anything can happen. So really, impressive stuff. But thanks for the updates. Pedri. We are watching penalties between PSG and Tottenham Hotspurs. I want to know who wins the UEFA Super Cup. Who wins the UEFA Super Cup? Wow, beautiful penalty, beautiful spot kick taken there. Beautiful spot kick. That was really, really good. That was really, really good. Oh, Pedro Porro scores. So that means it's 3-3. 3-3. And then, but at least now it's in PSG's sort of hand. It's theirs to lose. It's theirs to lose. If they score the final spot kick, oh, congratulations. Congratulations, Team PSG. If indeed they've won the UEFA Super Cup, beating Tottenham Hotspurs 4-3 on penalties. But I mean, earlier on, I made a tweet that it was going to be a long evening or /night in North London if Tottenham Hotspurs win the UEFA Super Cup. Just imagine, just 1 month in or 1.5 months in for Thomas Frank wins a major title in the UEFA Super Cup. What the kind of banter that Tottenham fans were going to direct towards, Arsenal fans in the wake of that kind of results. So, it wouldn't have come easy. So praise God to PSG. I mean, I must be honest. As an Arsenal fan, I think this is a bit of a relief. Neutrality aside, that this is a bit of relief. I know the kind of stick that we are going to get from Tottenham fans. I do follow somebody called they called Nasser Tushave. He's a Tottenham fan, but congratulations, Team PSG. Congratulations to the PSG fans out there, the sympathizers, the neutrals that were just enjoying the game. The money goes to Qatar, aka PSG Loro. Congratulations to them. Well deserved, well deserved. But I think Tottenham Hotspurs will blame themselves for squandering that 2-0 lead and then, having the game go to penalties. Particularly, I think, again, one, the lack of inexperience for Thomas Frank in handling that kind of situation really, really did show. Because in these kinds of games, the difficult games where the odds are not in your favor, but then suddenly you have the tide, blowing in your direction, you must have the ingenuity to see out the game. When you have that kind of lead, it's called game management. And I think Tottenham Hotspurs failed at game management. So what's the code first for the Fantasy Premier League? No, I thought the link I shared was a direct one. It should be taking you directly, but the code is QH. I don't know if you're following, but the code is QHYP6H. That's the code for our Fantasy Premier League. For those of you, in case you want to join our Fantasy Premier League, go to the channel. They're all small letters, but you did miss one. Instead of after Y, instead of E, it's a P. P for pineapple. It's a P for pineapple, not E. So it's QHYP, not E. P for PSG. Yes, that's the correct code. Should be able to get you in. That's the correct code. So, Fatrus Ari is joining us. Congratulations, PSG. PSG have won. Yes, indeed, they've won. By the time we started this broadcast, by the way, Tottenham Hotspurs were still in a 2-0 lead, and then suddenly they squandered that, and things flipped. So I've already changed the title, guys. By the way, I've already changed my title. It's only you guys that have not yet seen that change. But if you refresh your page, you'll see that the title is already changed to say PSG win UEFA Super Cup. So it's already changed. It's already updated, guys. But thank you, Fatrus Ari, for that comment or reminder. But I've already updated it. You just joined. Thank you, Pedri. invite all your colleagues, whoever can join, let them join the Footballtribeug Fantasy League. Fatros Ali, I do not know if you're a fan of the Fantasy Premier League, and if you do play it, just go to the channel. Under the post section, you'll find the latest post about our Fantasy Premier League for Footballtribeug. It was an idea that was brought forward to me by Pedri, and I embraced the idea, and we went on with it. So I've created the league, so you guys can join, and let's enjoy. Let's see what you guys are made of. Maybe by the time we end the season, the channel would have been monetized, and then maybe I'll be earning a few dollars, and we could give away a gift, like, for example, an authentic jersey for whoever wins the Fantasy Premier League. Or maybe Pedri will also offer maybe to give somebody a gift of maybe €20 or $20 as a gift for whoever wins the Footballtribeug Fantasy League at the end of it all. But it's going to be a couple of months, about 8 to 9 months of the strength of the stretch of the season until we get there. So thank you so much, Pedri. That credit is all goes to you, because you are, you're the one that made that suggestion. So, anyways, away from the UEFA, Super Cup, like I said, Liverpool have agreed on a deal to sign Giovanni Leoni from Parma in a deal worth about €35 million plus a future sell-on clause. Some sources have indicated that sell-on clause could be about 10%. Hi, Safa Ali. Safa Ali does reunite with us from Turkey. It's been ages. What happened, Safa Ali? I remember we had another guest from Turkey, and I was saying we do miss our colleague called Safa Ali, a Fenerbahce fan from Turkey, because it had been ages. It's been, I think, more than 3 weeks since we last saw you, but I hope you're doing good. I hope everything is okay with you, that you are not ill. Maybe you are busy with work or school or anything. I hope you're okay. And by the way, congratulations upon Fenerbahce. They did win their UEFA Champions League playoff against Feyenoord, despite having lost the first leg by 2-1. They won yesterday and went through, I think, on 5-4 average score. A beautiful game of football. Jean Duran got off the mark. He did score in that game, a brilliant goal. But Fred, guys, if you do remember Fred, that was formerly at Manchester United, if you want to see a brilliant goal, go watch the goal that he did score against Feyenoord yesterday. It was a brilliant goal with his left foot from outside the 18 yards box, quite a bit from distance. It was really well taken. So congratulations to you, Safa Ali and Fenerbahce for that achievement. You say, how are you? I'm all right. I hope you are good as well. Did you watch the Feyenoord match yesterday? We played really amazingly well. I did not watch the entire match. I only was able to catch the highlights, although the first half didn't. From the highlights I did watch, the first half did look impressive, and I'm sure typical Jose Mourinho must have been throwing water bottles and shoes within that dressing room, and when they came back in the second half, they were totally a different beast. Alim Kamal says, hey mate, good luck on the stream. Hope you're good. I'm all right. Alim, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for the good wishes. I hope you're good as well. Rival Benfica, do you mean to say it's Benfica next that you're facing in the playoffs? I do not know what stage of the qualifiers it is, but I knew we were trying to follow them. And John Duran, yes, John Duran had scored that goal. I think it was Fenerbahce's second goal in the game, a brilliant goal as well. Nesri and Brown are the best footballers. I'm sure you must have been elated as you did enjoy the exploits of yesterday's game, as you beat up against Feyenoord. I think, by the way, I think Jean Duran is going to be a very good player for you guys. Benjamin says, which country are you from? I'm from Uganda. I'm from Kampala, Uganda, a small landlocked country in the eastern part of Africa. That's where I am from. And at the moment, it's 18 minutes past the hour of midnight. So it's deep in the night for us. In other words, we're already into Thursday. So our calendars shifted from 13th to 14th. Same bro, okay. Benjamin, what part of the country are you from? I know we do have a couple of friends from the eastern part of Uganda. The other day we had a chat with somebody from, I think, Tororo. But thank you for joining us. Kindly like the broadcast, but also please consider subscribing to the channel. Do let me know what team you do support. I want more Manchester United fans on the forum. I want more Arsenal fans on the forum, Liverpool fans, Tottenham fans, Chelsea fans, Man City fans, if any. Oh, you're just from closed door. Guys are here. Okay, that's impressive. So all Premier League fans, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, AC Milan, PSG, all football fans, let's gather here and make this quite the community. So, Safa Ali says every Fenerbahce player was very good yesterday, including Moldu. All of them were excellent. Okay. And like I said, overall in the second half, they really, really looked impressive because what I did watch were extended highlights, not just, goals being scored and you move on that are usually compressed within 2-3 minutes. So, and by the way, I think you guys could have scored the sixth goal, but credit to, the goalkeeper of, Feyenoord. So, anyways, away from Fenerbahce's exploits, back to the latest from the world of transfers. Now, Chris McKay is sort of there are chances that he could stay at Crystal Palace and see out the remainder of his contract without moving to Liverpool because there's still a huge gap between Crystal Palace's valuation of the player and that of Liverpool. Unfortunately for Crystal Palace, they do not have a bargaining arm in this one. They do not have a strong arm on this one because the player is in the last months of his contract. When he sees out the remainder of his contract, they're going to lose him for free anyway. And if I were Crystal Palace, okay, you can take a bet on yourself and have to wait until the end of the window, but unless you've already lined up a replacement that you can take that bet. But if you do not have a replacement lined up, then clearly you may need to do what you may need you may need to stick to your guns. But my suggestion would be go out. Oh, you're a Liverpool fan. Okay, that's good. Congratulations. I'm not sure. I don't know how old you are, but most Liverpool fans have only seen Liverpool win titles after 2005, or maybe the very latest 2005, around those periods. But congratulations to you upon winning the Premier League title last season. So, about Crystal Palace, my suggestion would be you go out and get a centre back and hope that maybe a team comes back in for McGahey at the tail end of the window and he's open to joining that team and make some money out of him because he's 24, he's well within his prime. Whether you get 15 million pounds out of him, it's not his valuation. Of course, but of course, 15 million pounds is too low because you can then take a gamble, use him throughout the entire season, finish in a good place within the Premier League table, and also perform well in the UEFA Conference League, where unfortunately Crystal Palace are going to have to play, as opposed to playing in the UEFA Europa League competition for which they are qualified for, and you get to make some money there as well. So I think it's going to be a bet of that. If Liverpool are unwilling to pay more than 30 million pounds, then you can stick to your guns and say, let's keep him. We look to perform very, very well next season. Of course, it's a huge gamble on Crystal Palace's side. Maybe we finish in a very good place in the Premier League while he helps us do that, which earns us good money. Then I think last season they finished 12th. Was it in the Premier League? No, either 12th or 14th. I think 12th on that Premier League log for Crystal Palace. So you look at that and you're thinking to yourself that, yeah, if we can finish in a better position than we did finish last season they finished 12th, yes. If you can finish in a better position than you did last season, then clearly you give yourself a chance to make more money with him. And also, if you can do very well in the UEFA Conference League, for which you always have a chance to, because majority of the teams that are there are beatable teams. It's not a guarantee that once you participate in it, you will win it the way it was almost with Chelsea, but you give yourself a good chance. Then AS Roma are in talks with Aston Villa to sign Leon Bailey. There no formal bid for the 28-year-old winger, but AS Roma's pursuit is firm and emerging as strongest suitor. Also interest from clubs in the Saudi Pro League and Turkey or Turkey, including Besiktas. I mean, I know I know Aston Villa will have to sell to bring in some bit of money to be in the good books of the, first of all, with UEFA, because they were fined for being found in breach of the financial fair play rules. They were fined about 11 million euros. I understand that bit, but in terms of PSR, of course, they need to get on the good side as well, and that's why they sold their women inside to their parent club and to try and bring in more revenue, which helps with PSR but does not help with the UEFA financial fair play rules. But some of the players that I think it must be really, really painful for Unai Emery and the club as a whole to be losing these kinds of players. They're losing Jacob Ramsey, who is going to Newcastle for about 40 million euros. Then you lose Leon Bailey, because let's be honest, Aston Villa have a good core team. It's always been the sort of backups or the bench that has always been an issue. Of course, when you factor in injuries, it doesn't help that much. You remember in January, they had to sell Jean Duran to Al Nassr again to try and bring in money. And never mind that after only a few months, he's been loaned out to Fenerbahce and that kind of thing. So I have a question. What's your honest opinion on Lamine Yamal, and where do you see his career in the next 5 to 10 years, and what do you think his negative flaws? Okay, let me answer that in a bit after wrapping up on this Aston Villa thing. So when you look at Aston Villa's situation, they have to sell players. Even they are open to selling their number one goalkeeper in Emi Martinez because they need to raise funds. And for me, this is where I have an issue with PSR rules. While they are good to help, keep clubs in check and stay in doing good business, they must accommodate club owners to inject in some cash, because this is what happens in everyday life. When your business is not performing well and you have some cash that you can pull up from elsewhere, from outside the business, and inject in the business to improve its fortunes, you go ahead and do that. Now, I'm of the view that that cash should be captured within a certain period, but at least they should be given the room to do that kind of. Apologies, guys, on the internet glitch. I had my internet had dropped. That's why you'll see me in. Maybe you've seen me try to peep around, checking on Wi-Fi, a feed, but it's back on. Apologies on that, and I hope you guys stayed around. So, assuming I was giving the example, assuming you're operating a grocery store or a retail shop, if business is not good and you feel that an injection of cash into the business can help better its fortunes, you go ahead and do that. And so I believe that clubs should be allowed to go ahead and do that, especially club owners. If I have the money and I'm a club owner, do not tie my hands to that extent, because assuming Aston Villa last season were able to inject in good cash, they could have it could have maybe helped them qualify for the UEFA Champions League, for a second season in a row. And we all know the kinds of revenues that clubs make by qualifying for the UEFA Champions League football. So then that helps you in the long run to build a formidable team. But I constantly feel that mid-table teams and teams that want to, compete with the big clubs, the Man United, the Chelsea's, the Arsenal's, the Man City, the Chelsea's of this world, constantly are having their hands tied with PSR rules. Yes, they are good. Regulation ought to be there, but let's be honest with that regulation. Let's be honest with that kind of regulation. So I think we clubs should be allowed to bring in some, direct cash injections, whether it has to do with player recruitment or wages or other operations, whatever the case is. Now, to answer Benjamin's question, his question is about Lamine Yamal, where I do see Lamine Yamal in the next 5-10 years. One, if we can stay grounded, and this is very key. If he can stay grounded, he will go very, very far in his career. Now, there's a number of factors that a player needs to happen for him, or for him to maintain, to go and achieve great heights. For Lamine Yamal, the first thing, he needs to stay grounded. In other words, let his stardom and early success get to his head and sort of develop weight, for lack of a better word. Two, if he can stay injury free, because if he stays grounded and then he can stay injury free, then he will go on to achieve very many things, because he's only 18 years of age. Now, at 18 years of age, we all know what kind of press has been there about regarding his 18th birthday party, and things like that. Now, usually, I have nothing against that kind of partying and celebrating one's life. That's very okay. However, some reports were suggesting or did indicate that he was mingling with much older women. Okay, that's all his choice. Now, for as long as what happens off the field does not impact, does not have a negative impact on him for what happens on the field, So, because, for example, if let's say Lamine Yamal at the age of 18 gets to develop the kind of character of Neymar, then he may not have a very good career 5-10 years from now. Now, I'm not trying to say that Neymar was bad mannered or something, but Neymar had that bit of ego, and you remember that sort of ego of wanting to get out of Lionel Messi's shadow is what caused him to leave for PSG. Now, of course, PSG had a very good offer on him. That cannot be ignored. But at that point, when he left Barcelona to go to PSG, and when he went to PSG and he felt he was the star of the team, the most expensive player that there was, he sort of walked with his shoulders high. Look, the perfect example we can give is Lionel Messi. With all his talent, he has, up to today, he has that humbleness to him, the way he goes about his life. He's not braggadocious in a way. He does not fill the room with his presence because of his stardom. That comes naturally when people give it to him, but he does not impose himself on people when he walks into the room that a star has walked in. He's that humble. He's grounded. So Lamine Yamal needs to have that, and that is going to happen with a series of good coaches, whether it's Hansi Flick 3 years down the road, or it will be another manager. He needs that kind of guidance. Then guidance from the senior players that have hit those heights, players that are bigger than him. The Robert Lewandowskis of this world, Lionel Messi can have their ear, Cristiano Ronaldo, or whoever, even if it's Gerard Piqué, even if it were to be Iker Casillas as a first Spanish international. Never mind that maybe because of the Real Madrid-Barcelona rivalry, they may not mix and mingle that much. But even if it were to be Iniesta or Xavi, even if it were to be David Silva, if he's going to have a very, very long, beautiful career of progress after progress, advancement after advancement, he needs to stay grounded, he needs to stay humble, he needs to remember that the game he's playing is a team sport and not an individual sport. Because sometimes players like him tend to feel that they are too good, and they feel that without them, the team cannot be, and eventually, and while being selfish in the game of football for a goal scorer is a good thing, being overly selfish can be a bad thing, So I feel that's what he needs to be, or those are the things that need to happen for him to really, really have a very long, beautiful career. Then now, again, he's in contention for the Ballon d'Or. I think it's well deserved, given what he was able to achieve last season, reaching the semi-finals of the UEFA Champions League, winning the domestic treble in the Super Copa Hispana, Copa del Rey, and the Spanish La Liga in spectacular fashion. I think his numbers are nothing if not admirable for a player of his age. I think he just ticks all boxes. He looks arguably by far the most talented young player that there is in European football at the moment, and that is without an ounce of doubt. So when you look at his numbers, you can't help but admire him. You can't help but admire him, because in 35 appearances, that's in the Spanish La Liga last season, he scored 9 goals and 13 assists. That's a 22 overall goal involvement. I mean, more than double he had managed in his first campaign, where he made actually more appearances, because in the first campaign he made 37. That was okay, second campaign, but more or less first campaign, because 2022-2023 was he only played one match for Barcelona in the Spanish Liga. But 2023-2024 he played 37 games, 5 goals and 5 assists, combined goal contribution of 10, and the following season he doubled these numbers. Now, if he stays humble, continues on that trajectory, then trust me, next season is going to score goals in double figures in the Spanish La Liga alone, and yet he will continue to provide, because the kind of team he plays in are the team that look to outscore an opponent. While they care about defending, it plays second fiddle to them scoring on the other end. And they did have a very, very good combination between him and Rafinha and Robert Lewandowski, or if it was Fermin Lopez that is playing, or it is Ferran Torres or Dani Olmo, they had a good thing going. And I think if they can maintain that, and I'm sure with Hans Flick, they will be able to maintain that. They've added in Marcus Rashford, then he's going to have a very, very brilliant season. Now, because he's sort of stepped up already in the team as a youngster in terms of goals and assists, already his teammates are looking at him as a player that can help them win games. His game is not just about dribbling. He's a player that gets things done. So that means they are going to look to create more moments for you to even shine. So at the end of the day, he will need to know that there's no player, that no man is an island, that for him to thrive, for everything Lionel Messi managed to achieve, he wouldn't have achieved it if he did not play with the Xavis, the Iniestas, the Pedro, Dani Alves, that composition, because it's a team sport. It's a team sport. That's what I would say about Lamine Yamal. But thank you so much, Benjamin, for your question, which has expanded or expounded on our debate this late at night, in as far as football is concerned. Then Malik Theo is officially a Newcastle player. That deal was done for 40 million euros. And he did put pen to paper on a 5-year contract in which he will be earning about 4 million euros per annum. And then AC Milan continue to pursue Manchester United Rasmus Højlund, and they are increasingly growing positive that a deal can be struck between Manchester United and AC Milan for an initial loan of about 6 million euros plus a guaranteed fee of 45 million euros in a buy option. Now, AC Milan are not the only team that in pursuit of Rasmus Højlund, Juventus, Inter Milan, and I think, is it Atalanta or Roma? One of the two are also in pursuit of the same player. But for now, the player has opened his doors to AC Milan. They are in talks to see, but expect that deal to progress. We've talked about Marquez, we've talked about Giovanni Leoni to Liverpool and things like that. So then Bournemouth are in advanced talks to sign Bayer Leverkusen's Moroccan forward Amin Al-Adil because they view him as a potential replacement for Dango Ouattara, who is a target for Brentford. Brentford want to sign Dango Ouattara as a replacement for Yohan Wissa before they can let Yohan Wissa leave. So that's the mathematics or the kind of things that need to align if things are to happen that way. Because Brentford did tell Yohan Wissa that yes, they respect his decision and desire to want to leave, but they need to first find a replacement if they are to let him go. And then of course, it's a similar situation with Newcastle and Alexander Isak. Newcastle have really tried. They want to sign Yohan Wissa. Rodrigo, the goat, Tottenham bottled it. Yes, Tottenham bottled it. He guys. I did up, in case you're seeing a different headline, I already updated my headline. But yeah, Tottenham bottled it. I mean, they had a 2-goal lead. It looked good until, because they did not concede a goal until the 85th minute. That's when they, PSG scored what would have been their first consolation. And then in added time, that's when they conceded the second in the 94th minute. So clearly, Tottenham indeed did bottle it. But that's the game of football. It's never over until it's over. Until the final whistle is blown, you can never call it a done deal. Anyways, guys, let's go through quickly the latest from the transfer speculation and gossip as compiled by BBC Sport as of this late night before we sign out for this podcast. Manchester City are considering hijacking Chelsea's move for RB Leipzig's 22-year-old Dutch forward Xavi Simons, according to TalkSport, while Brighton are expected to demand up to £100 million for Carlos Baleba after Manchester United expressed their interest in the 21-year-old Cameroon midfielder. That's according to the Telegraph. Then Denmark striker Rasmus Højlund is more open to leaving Manchester United this summer as AC Milan try to negotiate a loan deal that we talked about. Then Man City have added Monaco's Magnez to their list of targets and will rival Bayer Leverkusen for the signature of the 23-year-old French winger, according to Florian Plettenberg. Florian Plettenberg is a German journalist who works with Sky Germany. Then Roma are in talks with Aston Villa for Leon Bailey. We discussed that. Then Fulham are willing to break their transfer record of £34 million to sign Shakhtar Donetsk's 22-year-old Brazilian winger Kevin. That's according to Sky Sport. Southampton have made a second counter offer to Everton for Tyler Dibling after rejecting 3 bids from the Toffees for the 19-year-old England under-21 winger, according to Florian Plettenberg, while Manchester United expect Chelsea to bid for Alejandro Garnacho, but the Blues hope to get the 21-year-old Argentine winger for significantly less than United's asking price of £50 million. Then Nice are advancing in talks with Crystal Palace over deal for 27-year-old French forward Odson Eduardo, that's according to Foot Mercato, while Bayern Munich have offered £52 million plus add-ons and a share of any resale for German striker Nick Woltmet, but Stuttgart are demanding for at least £65 million. Yes, according to Sky Germany, they say Bayern Munich's latest offer is about 60 million euros, while Stuttgart want up to at least 75 million euros if they are to let go of Nick Woltmet, who long ago, it feels like a long time ago, already did agree to some terms with the German champions. Otherwise, guys, the reason as why I'm laughing, there's a Tottenham Hotspur's a Tottenham Hotspur fan on the timeline who is saying, has Brentford got a new coach yet? I have a suggestion. And he posted that, that's a caption to a picture of Thomas Frank. In other words, as if to suggest that they are willing to give back Thomas Frank and find a new manager because of having bottled that result. Hand him the Ballon d'Or, Echonacho Chigwe. That's I think again the win for PSG only further brightens Ousmane Dembele's prospects of winning the Ballon d'Or, which I think he does really deserve. So let's wait and see. Let's just wait and see. But PSG are champions, and congratulations to them. I will just wait and see. Anyways, guys, it's been a pleasure being this with you. Allow me to say, Rodrigo the GOAT, it was a pleasure seeing you around. Benjamin from Gayaza, thank you so much, and a Liverpool fan. Safa Ali from Turkey, it was a pleasure seeing you once again. You say very good opinion, and I agree with what you're saying. Yes, he has to stay grounded because all that attention for an 18-year-old can be overwhelming, and also like how you used Neymar as an example. Thank you so much, Benjamin. I'm glad I sufficiently answered your question. Pedri, Fatrus Ari, Cedric, and all the usual suspects are on the Football Tribe YouTube channel. It's always a pleasure being this with you. Like I said, apologies today we came late because of that game between Tottenham Hotspur and PSG, but we are always live at 11 p.m. East African time, and then in the morning at around 9 a.m. every single day, Monday to Saturday. So again, we'll be speaking more about more things as the league looks to start. We'll once again have another review on Manchester United. We'll be speaking about Chelsea. We'll get to speak about Manchester City. We'll get to speak about Arsenal. Then quickly, of course, on Friday night, Liverpool are going to be in action against Bournemouth to open, the league. So tomorrow we need to address those teams. Yesterday we did speak about Liverpool. That's yesterday. By yesterday, sorry, I mean on Tuesday. The entire Tuesday was morning and evening was dedicated for Liverpool. We did assess their situation. We did give what factors are there that could prevent them from retaining the Premier League title, even though majority of the people that I've seen that are making their predictions do suggest that Liverpool will retain the Premier League title. Thank you so much, Benjamin. Have a blessed night as well. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.